Police and Fire Pipe and Drum Corps, accompany the Ann Arbor Police Department Honor Guard for the posting of our colors. Please remain standing as Pastor James Riesma does our invocation.
Before I begin the invocation, I'd just like to make you aware that today there is a funeral service for the wife of Lieutenant Doug Bender, Monroe County Lieutenant. He's a previous police officer of the year, and so in our invocation, I would just like us to remember him and his family in their time of loss. Let us pray. Gracious Lord and Heavenly Father, we thank you that we can come together on this occasion, that we can celebrate these men and women who are receiving these awards, that we can celebrate the work that we do as we labor together for others. Your word declares, blessed are the peacemakers. We thank you for those who follow the calling to help others live a better life, who give of themselves. And Lord, during this time we pray especially for Lieutenant Bender and his family in their time of loss, their time of need, that you would comfort them and strengthen them and encourage them as only you can. And they find the peace in you that passes all understanding. Lord, may we as police officers remember that we are just here for a short time, that we do what we can to make lives better for others. May we prepare for the eternity that lies before each one of us. And Lord, may we celebrate those that make a difference in the lives of people. May your comfort and your strength be with each one of us as we go about our day-to-day lives, as we bear the responsibilities and obligations that everyone has. And in addition, we look out for the best interests of others. Lord, may these men and women be blessed as they serve you. And may your blessing be upon this meeting, and upon this time as we celebrate the work that we have done to make this world a better place, as we give of ourselves, as you did. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, let us please observe a moment of silence for those that have gone before us.
That's how you started out, right? Now, please remain standing while Denise Bach performs our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Okay, please be seated. I'm going to break from tradition here for a moment because this is actually, and it really is live TV today. I want you to know if you're communicating with people that were unable to be here today, this is going to be on POAM Facebook page, a live feed right now. So if you have people or fellow officers or whatever back at home, they can watch this all occur while it's happening. Thank you all for being here. Now we are going to break this out. I needed the question to do me a favor, so hold on 1 second. A little live television there. And I know you think you're here to help me with something, but yes, I am. He thinks he's here to help me give you guys something, okay? It's not happening. It's for him. Let me tell you about Gary Marchetti, commonly known as Tex. He piped the drum corps. These are professional guys that do it all on voluntary time. They practice every week. They've done over 100 duty deaths, if I remember right. They show up. When I see them, I know my day is going to be better. That's how I think. They make a bad day good. And Tex played at my dad's funeral, and I'll never forget as long as I live. But we have this loyalty award that we give to people being loyal, and I can't think of anyone that's been more loyal to first responders in general, and certainly the Police Officers Association of Michigan. So I have this here for you, given in recognition of union representation above and beyond the call of duty to fellow union members. And thank you very much. You know, I love you, David. Got his own varsity jacket. POA loyalty. There you go, buddy. Thank you, guys. Thank you for letting me. Thank you. Yeah, you got to play it. Get out of here. Right. Right. Mark. Say God, it's still a place where you can stand for the anthem and put your hand on your heart. And I didn't see anybody take a knee. If I did, I know what I heard about it. So I appreciate that. You're a special group. And I was thinking this morning, not to bore you with too much, but I got the mic, so here we go. This week in 1983 was my first POAM convention. So it's 40 years ago this week that I went to my first one. And I want you to know POAM had about 1,200 members. Now they have about 14,000. I want you to know that that party was at a little place called Vladimir's, a little banquet hall on Grand River. Some of you may be familiar with it, just north of 8 Mile Road there. And it started at noon. We had a business meeting, about 50 people. We had a buffet luncheon at 3 o'clock. We had Jim Freeman, if you've ever seen him, you remember, guitar playing comedian, performing uniform from about 4:30 till 6 o'clock, and then we all went home, and that was POAM convention. Now we spend more time on a poker run than we did on the whole convention in those days. So it's been great for me to be a part of it. Started out being on the board in 1985 and just never looked back. But one of our first PO of the year on the list, it's listed on your table there of the people that have received it in the past. The first guy that got it was Gary Monaco from Dearborn, and I know we have a Dearborn officer being recognized today. And we still communicate with Gary, still looks good, still healthy, and amazing that 40 years later, after that incident. So I just wanted to share that with you. This job, as I think about it, has changed significantly in that period of time. I mean, and it's really, I try to clarify that. A lot of what changes technologically, if that's a word. You know, you got cameras in the front seat, the back seat, down the hallways, on top of every light pole, every street light. You got GPSs on your belt, you got them on your car, you got body cameras, microphones on your belt. There's no job on earth that is more scrutinized, more studied than what you guys do. Everything you do is looked at 100 different ways. And when I was doing it, and some of these guys were doing it, you know, we didn't even write reports on some of those things. So it's just, the job has changed technologically, but what didn't change, as I think about it, is that we still hire human beings. You hear about artificial intelligence and all these things, but you know what? I'd be surprised if they can create something, and I know they can vacuum your floor and do all kinds of neat things with robots. But you still got to have human beings to do this job. And we hire human beings, and I think about when I first applied for a job, we had 2,500 people apply for 200 positions. Now we try to hire 4 guys and we get 6 applicants. You know, why is that? We study it, we think about it, we try to predict it. I was in DC a few weeks ago with our lobbyists from Washington and in Lansing a number of times this year, as John has and John has. And everybody thinks it's, you know, if we put more money into it, it'll be better, which is normally the government's way of solving all problems. But the truth of the matter is, you can't create better police just by giving them more money. You can't take some guy that's 27 years old and say, hey, if I pay you enough money, we can be a good cop. Because this job has like I couldn't think of a better term than to say it's like a gene. You know, it's a culture, and it's in you, and it doesn't get in you at 25 or 27 years old. The best recruiting place that we can go right now is like a high school, like a 16-year-old kid. We need to get these kids to think, I want to be a cop. I want to be a cop. And everyone won't be able to be. But that they have to have that desire to do what you do. And that's just not going to be all about money. I want you to make as much money as you can. But the fact of the matter is, a ton of money won't make you a cop if you're not designed to be one. You guys that are in this room have made that. Please don't call the pronoun police on me. Everybody's a guy today with me. The fact is, everybody that's in here does that job and does it the best they can. And when I was talking to Senator Peters, who used to be our friend and became less of one, and you know, we're trying to recover what we have. You got to deal with the people you send us. You know, you guys are doing the voting. When I talked to him about that, I said, you know, the best recruiters we have are the guys in this room. You know, it used to be you're sitting around Thanksgiving dinner and you know, your nephew would say, you know, I want to be like Uncle Joe, he's a police officer. Or I want to be like you, or my baseball coach is a Detroit cop down the street, and he's really a great guy, and I want to be a cop when I grow up. Right now, Thanksgiving dinner, if your nephew said that to you, probably half of you, maybe more than that, would say, you're out of your mind. What are you thinking? Why would you do that? And if he says he just wants to, I was talking to somebody last night, I forget who it was, Steve from Ice From, former Dearborn guy, what was his last name? Faith. Showing me a picture of his son that started the police academy from Livonia. Shows me a picture of this young man, I hope you don't mind me saying this, Steve, if you're in there. Shows me a picture of the kid when he's little, wearing a police shirt. These are the guys that got that gene. I don't know what it is. That's not, I didn't grow up in a police family. My dad owned a gas station. That's the best training I ever had to deal with the public, I can tell you. That's because they were full service days. But today we're going to recognize some really important things, and that's why the opening ceremony is always so important to me, because I want this to be a day that you remember, and I want it to be a good one. But I really want to thank everybody that's in this room, whether it be a spouse, a friend, a co-worker, family member. The people that strap on that belt every day are just human beings. They have a dog that messes up the house once in a while. They've got a kid that misses the school bus. They've got one that wakes up with a runny nose because he's probably got a math quiz at 9 o'clock. But they're just human beings, and then they go to work and they strap on this outfit. And they become law enforcement people. And I met so many of them this morning at breakfast, and I see so many of them here today. I am so proud to have served not even remotely as well as you do, but to be in that job and to be part of this organization now that you've chosen to trust us to protect you and to do what we can to make your life better. We want you all to get home. We want you all to retire. We want you all to have fun. We do. Because the job is going to be miserable enough from time to time. To tell you the truth, you should come home and laugh about it almost every night. Because no other reason. That's all the common sense you're going to get. We're working really hard on mental health issues. You see, some of you were at the seminar yesterday. Might have seen our Frontline Strong program that we're working on. They're at a table out here today. We need peer counselors. This mental health thing. Listen, I'm the old General Patton guy, just get out of bed and get back on the front. That's not true anymore. You can't do it. I was wrong. What you have to do is start listening to people. And we have really good people. Look at fst5.org, see what we're doing. I'm going to tell you, POAM was there at the very first brick that was laid in that program, before we knew it was called Frontline Strong. You can be proud of that. But take advantage of it. I don't know why I write these notes, because I never follow anything. Then I look down and wonder where I was at anyway, I don't know. But I can tell you that a few weeks ago, May the 13th, many of us were in Washington, D.C. 556 names got read aloud that night that were put on that wall. And every one of those, men, women, young, old, small PDs, giant PDs, everybody that was there is just a human being. They all had that dog and that kid, and they all strapped that suit on. And when they left that day, they really, really, really thought they were going to go home. And so God bless all of you. Bless you for what you do. And thank you for being here. Those of you that are the support staff for these people, the spouses, the kids, there are beautiful children here. Man, just thank you. Thank God every day that you're out here, because I sure do for you. Now, why are we here? Oh, just to listen to taking out Babylon or not. I'm Babylon. But what we're going to do today is we're going to recognize some significant events that happened in 2022. And some of these would have occurred early in 2022. We don't have any control over that, but these are all heroic events. Again, these are the people that went out and did something they had no inclination they were going to do that day when they went to work. They were just going to go to work, grab a coffee at the 7-Eleven, in my case, some Hostess cupcakes, and go home. That was it. But in the middle of the night, somebody takes some kind of an action that causes you to do something different. So we're going to recognize those today. I got to give you a little background. For those of you that have been here before, these seats were generally occupied by 5/6 of the Michigan Supreme Court. They used to read these up here. They've been doing it for 30 years. And we enjoyed them. They've all been good friends of ours. They don't often rule in our favor, but we still tolerate them the best that we can. But Frank, our general counsel, right here, has been making a case in front of the Supreme Court for about 2 years now, and it's still not done. And so they sent us a message like last night and say, we think it would give the appearance of impropriety if we were here having a nice time with you guys. Now, you can take that two ways. They didn't want to be here because they're going to give us a bad idea back, or they didn't want to look like they gave us a good one back because they had a good time. I don't know what they're thinking. We have no idea. So I had to dip into the farm club. Got 2 district judges out of Monroe. Got our former assistant general counsel, George Mirza, over here, who's a highly regarded circuit judge up in 4 counties, 3 counties. And of course, our general counsel that created this mess for me today. And so we'll start with Mr. Guido. We've got some significant events tonight, and I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the day.
Well, it is certainly a pleasure and an honor to be doing these presentations despite the absence of our esteemed members of the Michigan Supreme Court. It is an important case, and as Jim said, it's been going on for a number of years, and we have another round of oral arguments scheduled for fall, so hopefully we'll have a decision before next May, and hopefully we'll be able to invite them back. If not, they're not coming. So, in any event, this is my 41st year as being your general counsel. So it's been a good run, and I continue to hope to be here for at least a few more years, God willing. All right, with that said, let us begin. Around mid-afternoon in June of 2022, officers in the Albion Department of Public Safety received a dispatch call conveying information of a man with a gun. According to 911, an adult female caller described an armed subject attempting to force entry into her home. The household had adult and children occupants in immediate danger of the gunman's presence. Officers Daniel Riley and Chandler Barney were the first to respond to the distress call and immediately entered the building. The officers made their way through the threshold, spotting an armed subject with a handgun heading toward the kitchen in pursuit of the home's occupants. The armed subject had his back turned against the officers as he was moving toward the kitchen. At that point, Officer Riley twice commanded the subject to drop his weapon. The commands were ignored. Instead, the gunman held onto his weapon at a 45-degree angle to the right of Officer Riley, turning to face the officers, thereby placing them at risk of serious, possibly fatal harm. Officer Riley instinctively responded by firing 2 shots at the armed trespasser, wounding him and ending the threat to the household. Officer Barney began CPR on the subject, while Officer Riley advised the dispatch of the events and coordinated incoming law enforcement and medical personnel. Despite Officer Barney's life-saving effort, the subject ultimately died at the scene, a product of his own transgressions. The footage captured by the officers' body cameras and witness accounts, coupled with other supporting documents, confirmed that Officers Riley and Barney acted courageously and in self-defense in a highly stressful and dangerous situation, safeguarding fellow officers and the innocent occupants of the household. For their selfless commitment to preserving justice and saving a household from imminent injury, we present the 2023 Police Officer of the Year Award to Officers Daniel Riley and Chandler Barney of the Albion Department of Public Safety.
Obviously an honor, and I'm sure there's several more to come. Very humbling. Hopefully, no more from me. But special thanks to Deputy Chief Kern. Without his support, the support from my wife, it'd be a lot harder.
I don't have much I intended to say here, but I do want to thank you, Deputy Chief Kern and Riley, for what occurred on that day.
September of 2022, a subject wanted for multiple criminal charges escaped the Coldwater City Police Department. The subject was armed with multiple weapons, including a handgun and shotgun. He fired at police officers who were in pursuit, but he successfully evaded capture. The escapee was reportedly spotted hours later in Calhoun County. Deputy Sumbal of the Calhoun County Sheriff's Department responded as the first car in pursuit, with Deputy Jack Williamson joining him shortly thereafter in that pursuit. The vehicle pursuit led officers through multiple counties and cities. All along the way, the gunman fired shots at the pursuing police vehicles. Deputies Sumbal and Williamson tactfully avoided the onslaught of fire and bravely continued to close in on the subject. The subject actually broadcast the entire assault footage via social media and phoned 911, threatening to harm innocent lives if the deputies did not halt their pursuit. The vehicle pursuit covered 110 miles across Jackson County, Albion, the village of Springport, and several more villages before circling back to Jackson County. When deputies Sumbal and Williamson caught up with the subject, he resisted arrest and began to flee on foot. After a brief foot chase, Deputy Sumbal brought the armed subject to the ground, ending the threat. The deputies' resilience, coordinated teamwork, and selflessness successfully ended the danger posed by an armed and violent individual who threatened to cause multiple injuries and casualties across several communities. Deputy Sumbal has been in law enforcement for nearly 6 years, continuing to show tireless dedication to safeguarding public safety, as proven in his actions throughout the high-speed pursuit. Deputy Williamson is a seasoned officer with over 25 years of service and is a former force member of the Albion Police Department. The effective collaboration and quick response between the deputies led to the best outcome in an extremely dangerous incident, which could have led to a highly destructive aftermath. We are proud to announce deputies Simba Sumbal and Jack Williamson of the Calhoun County Deputy Sheriff's Association for their courageous response in the face of immediate danger from an armed and dangerous subject, proving their valiant and inspiring character, are recognized today as recipients of the 2023 Police Officer of the Year Award.
I just want to go ahead and say thank you for this honor. Wasn't expected, but here it is. It was made easy by the command staff who actually let us pull the trigger and do the job we're supposed to do, being supported. And of course, it's easy when you got people like this that you work with, that you know you can run a gun with, and they're going to be there at the end. So, thanks.
Sunday, December 18th, 2022 was no ordinary day for Road Patrol Corporal Timothy Clive of the Dearborn Police Department. He was assigned to work the front desk of the police department lobby that day. During the peak of the Christmas holiday season, Corporal Clive's Sunday was quite busy. He assisted citizens with gift drop-offs for Toys for Tots and the Dearborn Goodfellows No Child Without a Christmas campaign. In the normal course of every weekend, many child custody exchanges were also occurring in the lobby. The adjacent Performing Arts Center was also hosting a sneaker convention attended by thousands of regional visitors to the city. And of course, there was a steady flow of routine police report complaints made at the front desk. Corporal Clive handled multiple citizen contacts with professionalism and courtesy that day. But at 3:36 p.m., his day would go in a direction we pray police officers never have to face. Whether by chance or divine intervention, and I'm thinking divine intervention, the front lobby of the police department was unoccupied at 3:36 p.m. An unknown man stopped and parked his vehicle near the front doors of the lobby where people enter and exit the department. This individual exited his vehicle, left the driver's door open with the engine running, and immediately walked into the lobby. The man was met by Corporal Clive, who greeted him with the positive demeanor he displayed throughout the day, and asked how he, being Corporal Clive, could help him. The man's appearance and demeanor gave no clue to what he was thinking. He appeared to have business in the police lobby, similar to many people before him that day. However, this man had a different, very dark intention. The man casually walked toward the front desk where Corporal Clive was stationed. The man was within 10 feet of Corporal Clive, and without any notice, he withdrew a pistol from his right side and pointed it directly at Corporal Clive. Simultaneously, the man pulled the trigger, but the pistol did not fire. An audible click could clearly be heard on the department's audio and video equipment covering the front desk lobby area. Corporal Clive immediately alerted fellow desk officers, yelling, "Gun, gun, gun." Despite Corporal Clive's quick reaction and loud alert, the man did not waver from his clear intention to shoot a police officer. In fact, while Corporal Clive was yelling, "Gun, gun, gun," the man appeared to be manipulating the weapon to clear a malfunction for it to then fire. Corporal Clive knew that any person, including a child, could walk through the front door at any moment and would be completely defenseless. Corporal Clive was not going to let that happen on his watch. It would be unimaginable what would have happened if the subject had left the police department, fixed the malfunctioning of the weapon, and drove to the adjacent sneaker convention where friends and families were gathered. And I live in Dearborn, I can tell you that location is within a stone's throw of the police department. Recognizing that his life and the lives of others were in danger, and with only a split second to react, Corporal Clive engaged the suspect with precision gunfire to stop the threat. Corporal Clive then worked with the ready response team to approach and render aid to the downed subject, who was later pronounced deceased. The most dangerous people are those who have no reservation about shooting and killing a police officer. The attempt to do so inside the police department is the epitome of danger. This is the second critical incident involving a threat to life that Corporal Clive has faced in the Dearborn Police Station lobby. In both cases, Corporal Clive has shown decisive action, steadfastness, and heroic decision-making capability. Corporal Clive is truly an example for all police officers, and for his actions on December 18, 2022, Corporal Clive is most deserving of the 2023 POAM Police Officer of the Year Award.
Just a couple names I'd like to thank, a couple people. Bear with me. All right. First, I'd like to thank my wife, my brothers coming out from New York, my sister-in-law coming in to be part of this event. I'd like to thank the POAM, POAD. My co-workers, my friends, my administration, command staff, the Chief Shaheen, the city of Dearborn as a whole. They've been very supportive since the second this happened. It is overwhelming. I'd like to thank Bill Anha for hanging out with me directly after the fact, keeping tabs on me, making sure everything's okay. It's a good friendship. I'd like to recognize the two officers that showed up to the lobby that day. Sergeant Spresser and Corporal Barney. These two officers ran toward the sound of gunfire, not knowing what the hell was going on in that lobby. While they entered the lobby and they took over the scene. They should be acknowledged for their actions that day, and they are, in my mind, the perfect example of what a police officer should be. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank, for your assistance on that. We appreciate it. Next, I'd like to introduce our next reader. George Burks was Assistant General Counsel for POAM for several years. Had an opportunity to get an appointment to a circuit job, which is a big jump. And all that time he spent with us apparently created a really good judge. I'm sure that was it. But I can tell you that when he got down to the short list, we got a little bit pissed because it looked like he was going to be taken from us. So we wished him a lot of luck, but not really. But we're really proud to have him here today. He's doing a great job in 3 counties up north, and he'll always be a member of the POAM family. So, George Burks.
Thanks, Dick, and I do want to just say thank you to Jim and the rest of the executive board and officers and office staff, and of course all of you for continuing to invite me back every year. I was lucky enough a couple weeks ago to be the commencement speaker for the 56th graduating class of the Kirkland Police Academy up in Grayling, and one of the things I talked about was just the challenges and rewards of a career in law enforcement. And one of the last things that I said about the rewards, and I really believe this, is that when you join a career in law enforcement, you're not just joining a career, you're joining a family. And I was blessed to be part of the POAM family for a long time, and I'm blessed to be able to continue to come back every year and see all of you and to have the honor of presenting these awards, so thank you. In this incident, Officer Jonathon Beyerlein was a rifleman serving a high-risk search warrant when he spotted a male suspect in the dark pointing a gun at a fellow police officer. In August of 2021, Saginaw police officers were tasked with serving high-risk narcotics search warrants. The suspects were known gang members who'd recently been engaged in shootouts with rival gang members. The day before this warrant was to be served, a controlled drug sale had occurred, after which a suspect had been spotted walking out of a monitored residence with a weapon. Knowing about the presence of firearms and that the suspects would be on high alert, the danger posed in serving this warrant called for Saginaw's most experienced officers and its best decision makers to be on the scene, and they were the first to enter the residence. While entering the dark residence upon serving the warrant, Officer Beyerlein immediately observed a male suspect lying on the floor with a pistol aimed at another officer. His dedication to his fellow officers, his heightened surveillance senses, and his situational awareness and processing skills helped him act swiftly, stopping the threat posed to other officers. Officer Beyerlein's fast assessment of the threat and his quick-thinking actions in this situation saved the life of the first officer who entered the residence but didn't see the suspect, and saved the lives of his fellow officers as well. His decision-making during this situation was exceptional, and it spoke to the type of officer he is. To this day, the City of Saginaw Police Department is thankful that he was able to process that situation before a serious threat could occur to a fellow officer. Officer Beyerlein became a member of the Saginaw Police Department in 2009. He is a highly respected officer in the department and has led the emergency services team for the last 10 years. His positive attitude is contagious, and he never turns away a fellow officer. He always makes time, whether officers want to talk about something personal or something professional. He recently was promoted to sergeant for his impeccable decision-making, good intentions, and genuine interest in his fellow officers, which fosters a special camaraderie on both a personal and a professional level. For his quick thinking, situational assessments, for his loyalty to his community, and for fearlessly putting the lives of fellow officers before his own, Police Officers Association of Michigan presents Sergeant Jonathon Beyerlein with the 2023 Police Officer of the Year Award.
Thank you. Please be seated. I'm not that important that you need to stand quite that long. For those of you that do know me, I certainly can be a talker. So I'm going to try and keep it a whole lot more brief because I'm not one that likes to talk about myself. So if we're going to talk about something, you guys heard a lot about what I had to do that day, but everything that I've done has been through a team and teamwork. Whether it is the emergency services team, the individual team of our shift, or the team of my wife and I at home, everything's from a team. So you heard a lot about what I did, but the rest of the team performed very well that day. From the team leader, getting a very good action plan together, making the correct decisions once shots were fired, other operators removing the suspect and immediately rendering aid, ultimately saving his life, and he tried for like 3 or 4 days to die, and they would not let him. Rendered aid right there on the porch. The back team, who had created the secondary entry point, remained at their position. Other officers in the same room who had to continue focusing on other potential threats. Another operator who also fired and engaged the suspect. This was not an individual event, this was a team effort, and it was a team win. Everybody was able to go home safely, and for that I'm thankful. So thank you for POAM for hosting. Thank you for the honor, it's very humbling. Thank you to the detective who submitted my name for the award, but it certainly was a team effort. And most importantly, thank you to my wife for always always supporting me, my career, and decisions. Thank you.
While on duty, Officer Chandler of the Roseville Police Department successfully intervened in a multi-lane traffic collision which developed into a dangerous armed situation. Officer Lee bravely subdued the threat of an armed suspect. During this incident, he demonstrated his dedication to public safety. Officer Lee joined the Roseville Police Department in March of 2018 with prior experience in the force and started his day like any other on Tuesday in April of 2022. In the early morning hours, Officer Lee was inside his police vehicle with his fellow patrol officer when he responded to a call of a traffic incident on Roseville Highway near 12 Mile. He drove to the crash scene with his partner and discovered what appeared to be a near head-on collision involving a Chevy Silverado pickup truck and a semi-truck. Nearby civilians approached the vehicles to check on the conditions of the affected parties and were put in danger by the pickup driver who wielded a 4-inch knife. Fearlessly, Officer Lee approached the scene to check on the pickup truck driver and ask if he was okay, to which he replied in the negative and advanced toward Officer Lee and his partner. During his approach, Officer Lee noticed that the suspect had a knife in his hand and had self-inflicted injuries. Despite the police team's repeated commands for the suspect to stop his approach with the weapons, the nearby civilians were at risk due to the driver's refusal to comply. As an operator on Roseville Police Department's Special Response Team and a certified de-escalation instructor, Officer Lee regularly diffuses risky situations such as the incident that was presented before him that day. Supplied with this training, Officer Lee was quick to assess the heightening risk. His only concern at the moment was for the safety of the people at the scene. To mitigate the increasing risk, the officer retreated from the driver who continued to come towards him. When debris from the accident prevented further movement backwards, Officer Lee discharged his firearm at the suspect until he was able to stop the suspect and mitigate any further harm. Investigation of the body camera footage of the scene determined that Officer Lee acted according to protocol upon assessing the severity of the situation and that he acted courageously. Officer Lee's courageous actions in the harrowing incident protected himself, his partner at the scene, and all the nearby civilians. For the selfless act of defense and bravery in safeguarding his community, we, the Police Officers Association of Michigan, present Officer Chad Lee with the 2023 Police Officer of the Year Award.
I do have just a couple things to say. Like the officer before me, this wasn't something that I did on my own. It was definitely a team effort. April 26, 2022 was a day that I'll never forget. A day that I reflect upon often. On that day, I'll never forget the first thing that came to my mind when I was dispatched to that run. What can I do to get out of having to do this UD-10? Well, what happened next wasn't exactly what I had in mind, though I ended up getting out of it. But I guess be careful what you wish for. And In all seriousness, though, most of what we face on a day-to-day basis slowly takes a toll on us. And sometimes it's okay to laugh at our trauma, otherwise we would just break down and cry. Though that day significantly impacted me, not only as a police officer, but as a human being, what truly impacted me was the overwhelming amount of support that I received, not only from my family and friends, but my department, administration, and my brothers and sisters holding the thin blue line. Immediately after my incident, walking into my apartment in a complete daze, my chief and deputy chief greeted me. In a day and age when administrations are not shy to throw their officers under the bus, my leadership was there to reassure me that I wasn't alone, and that I had the full backing of the Roseville Police Department. And for that, I'm forever grateful. I'm humbled to receive this award, but I never would have made it through the aftermath if not for the amazing support that I had along the way. I would like to thank my family for never judging me for my actions or my emotional state in the weeks to come. I would also like to thank Platoon 4. Hearing your sirens in the distance and drawing closer to me brought calm and hope to a chaotic situations. To my sergeants, Tom Mike Tisha and Maggie Beyerlein, for showing more concern with me in that moment than the situation in the entirety, and constantly making sure I was okay. To my brothers on the union board, Kurt Latour and Dave Burnett, thank you. Thank you for guiding me and supporting me when I was at my most vulnerable. Thank you to my administration of the POAM, and of course, thank you, Gordana, who showed up like a legal pit bull, who assured me that she wouldn't let anything happen to me. And she was right. She checked on me daily just to make sure that I was okay. I could not have survived this without all of you, so thank you for your support and thank you for this award.
In these times of uncertainty, a person's true nature comes to the forefront, demonstrating the lengths that officers will go to perform honorable and life-changing acts. Such was the case with Sergeant Anthony Roeske from Sterling Heights, who contributed his valiant efforts in response to an emergency that averted a potential household tragedy and saved the life of a young girl. Sergeant Roeske was on road patrol when he received a call mid-afternoon on Tuesday, January 17, 2023. The frantic caller conveyed that there was an emergency involving a 15-month-old girl choking at home. Sergeant Roeske immediately responded to the scene a mere 30 seconds from where he was located. The girl's panicking family guided Sergeant Roeske into the home where he saw the young girl being held by a woman. He realized that the child was not breathing and immediately administered a series of back thrusts to clear her obstructed airway before she lost consciousness. The sergeant used his first aid skills and successfully dislodged the food from the child's airway, and the young girl began to cough and cry. He calmly managed the situation before handing the child's care off to medics at the Sterling Heights Fire Department, where she received further medical assessment and treatment. He provided comfort and assurance to the child's frantic parents who panicked as they watched helplessly during the incident. Sergeant Roeske has maintained a tireless dedication to the force, mostly as a road officer, for over 21 years, and has recently dedicated his duties to running the midnight shift, where he actively mentors younger officers through best safety and career practices, leading by example. The Sterling Heights Police Department recognizes his actions and that they exemplify their commitment to providing the best service to set a great example for younger officers and the residents of Sterling Heights. He comes from a long line of public service officers, and Sergeant Roeske's strong passion for helping others runs in his blood. His father served as a Madison Heights police officer, his grandfather was a reserve officer with the Hazel Park Police Department, and his great-grandfather worked at the Hamtramck Fire Department. Sergeant Roeske's recent efforts have established his reputation as a dependable team member and role model for aspiring young officers. POAM acknowledges and rewards brave, committed officers who serve the community's needs above and beyond. We honor Sergeant Anthony Roeske with the 2023 Police Officer of the Year Award for his outstanding contributions and positive influence on the civilian and policing communities.
Thank you, everyone. This is such a special award and a huge honor. And I appreciate the POAM for honoring me on this. I just want to honor my chief. He was my shift sergeant when I hired on, and I really appreciate his mentorship and leadership throughout my career. I appreciate it. My family, Sue, Ben, Rudy, and Sonny, you guys put up with chaos, the shift changes, the tough hours, and I love you. I've got my mom and dad here today. I hope I made you proud. Dad has been an inspiration for me, and proud to count. And I appreciate you guys all for being here today. Thank you. There's a lot of chiefs and sheriffs in here today. I just want to thank all of you. I'm sure if I decided to start reading off the names, I'd mess somebody up. But it's important that you're here. It really is, and it means a lot. Families are great too, but you know, part of our family is the bosses that we sometimes get on the wrong side of. But at times like this, it's worthwhile. I want to tell all of you, the award winners and their families, that when we're done today, which will be in a little bit, out this door, down the hallway, almost to the river, is a Pearl Room. It's right down in that corner. We have a backdrop there. We used to have people try to take pictures in here, and you got podiums and people wandering around. We've got a backdrop down there, and we've got our photographer will be there as well. So when this is over, if you go over there, you can take some pictures as much as you want and have as much time as you need. Okay. So thank you for that, and thank you for the staff for setting that up. Next, I'd like to bring up somebody who got called in on short notice here. District Judge Amanda Eicher from Monroe County.
Thank you. This is my first time here. I'm extremely humbled already. Just jump right in. In March of 2022, officers Ryan Kensinger and Josh Sutton were dispatched to a trailer park community for assault that just occurred. The officers discovered hysterical occupants seeking help and promptly escorted the occupants out of the premises to a safe place. A male occupant who appeared agitated and verbally aggressive refused to come out of the trailer. The officers quickly realized the man was armed with a rifle and held a 5-month-old child hostage. Officers Sutton and Kensinger immediately assumed a tactical position with Officer Sutton entering into a dialogue with the suspect. Other Redford PD officers responded to the scene to establish a tactical perimeter. After several minutes of negotiation, the suspect came out on the porch of the trailer, then leveled his rifle at Officer Sutton. Officers Sutton and Kensinger simultaneously reacted to the deadly threat by firing shots at the suspect, striking him. The suspect retreated into the trailer, still possessing the rifle and with the child hostage still inside. There was no further response from the suspect. It was unclear if the suspect was fatally wounded. With the threat of imminent danger to the infant and the community, Officer Pederson arrived at the scene with a ballistic shield. Officer Sutton and other officers covered the perimeter of the trailer. Officers Kensinger and Pederson approached the entry door of the trailer and were met by a vicious dog. After the dog was controlled, Officer Kensinger and Pederson quickly forced entry into the trailer. Officer Pederson rushed the suspect as he was within arm's reach of the rifle. Officer Sutton and Reichenbach were able to handcuff the suspect to end the threat. The infant was unharmed and taken out of the trailer to an awaiting ambulance as a precaution. The tactical collaboration of Officers Kensinger, Sutton, and Pederson, and the other officers on scene led to the successful apprehension of an armed suspect without any casualties or injuries to residents. A horrific incident was surely averted. Officers Ryan Kensinger, Josh Sutton, and Chris Pederson of the Redford Township Police Department demonstrated tremendous bravery and tactical teamwork as they successfully diffused a high-risk situation involving the infant hostage. For their courageous efforts and selfless contributions in the face of immediate danger, the Police Officers Association of Michigan presents the three of you with the 2023 Police Officer of the Year Award.
Ready, take your picture.
You guys can take a seat, please. So there's three of us, and one more for the offering truck. Possible. Together, the three of us collectively want to thank Redford Township Police Department, Chief Roeske, Captain Craig Yule for nominating us, being lieutenant on scene that night. The Redford Township Police Union, actually the whole thing. The incredible support of our peers. You know, I couldn't have done without these two. The support of our families, the support of the township, the whole thing. I will say the three of us have absolutely incredible families, incredible lives. With Amanda, Laura, and Amy, we're just so thankful for the outpouring of support that came through. So many different people reaching out, whether it be phone calls, late night text messages, being there when we needed to. We're just so very thankful and humbled by this, and appreciate the support. Thank you.
The call to help a person in need is instilled in police officers, whether on or off duty. Saving a life isn't always aligned with their working shift. That is what Deputy Webster of the Tuscola County Sheriff's Department did in June 2022. On June 22nd, Deputy Webster, Sergeant Jordan Wade, and Deputy Brecker attended a training event at Delta College. During their lunch break, they visited a local family restaurant. It was crowded and bustling during the lunch rush. Suddenly, the restaurant grew restless. Looking around, a panicked waitress approached them, asking them if they knew how to perform the Heimlich maneuver. Each officer is trained to provide this life-saving action, but only some perform this action outside of training. Springing into action, all three officers rushed to help an elderly female with her hands around her throat, indicating she could not breathe. Deputy Webster immediately took action and administered abdominal thrust to dislodge the food from her throat. Quickly, his actions allowed the woman to speak, indicating she could breathe again. She was able to resume her day without needing medical attention. The actions of Deputy Webster undoubtedly saved her life, as other officers on the scene noted she was losing color and likely about to become unconscious. The situation could have been much worse if it wasn't for Deputy Webster's quick actions. Deputy Webster has served the Tuscola County community since January 22, as he was the first to be sponsored through the academy by the department. This was the first time he had performed the life-saving technique since receiving his training at the academy, and it shows the importance of learning such skills. One may never know when they need to use it. He is appreciated and honored for that, and POAM is proud of Webster's quick thinking, which contributed to saving a life on what otherwise was a seemingly normal day. We commend him for his service to the community in June 2022, and there is no doubt he deserves the recognition of Police Officer of the Year for 2023 for his actions and is awarded accordingly. Thank you, Deputy Webster.
You guys can see it. As officers, we know that we never know what kind of situation will be put in front of us or what's going to happen, whether on duty or off duty. And for a lot of us, I think it's safe to say that we're never really off duty, especially when we see somebody that's in need of life-saving, whatever the case may be. We're always going to be jumping into action because it's just not blocking us out of the track. So I'd like to say thank you to my department in Tuscola County for giving me the resources to be here today. I'd like to say thank you to my mom for coming to support me, and thank you to everybody. Thank you, Paul.
On a Friday evening in January 2023, Oak Park officers received a dispatch call that directed them to the local high school. The message alerted officers to reports of a man with a gun within school grounds. The incident occurred during the closing moments of a highly attended basketball game. The gym was packed due to the turnout of students, parents, and teaching staff. While en route, dispatch reported shots fired, with at least one victim injured within the school premises. Officers at the scene observed the game attendees running frantically in all directions, while vehicles from the school grounds moved en masse to the nearby Oak Park Police Station. Witnesses began to share partial information as Officer Hodakowski's fellow officers checked in on the injured victim. The witnesses believed two suspects escaped westbound through the parking lot. Officer Hodakowski responded without delay, rushing to the scene with canine partner Mace. The duo headed straight to the westbound parking lot, and Officer Hodakowski assessed the suspect's possible escape routes. At that point, witnesses saw two subjects changing directions, cutting through the parking lot, and advancing towards the soccer field. Being familiar with the area, Officer Hodakowski expected the suspect's route to lead them to a nearby street. He immediately got into his patrol vehicle and headed to the nearby area, hoping to intercept the suspects. Upon arriving in the area, Officer Hodakowski noticed two subjects matching the description walking in his direction. Cautiously, he exited his vehicle and made contact alone with the pair without backup as other officers investigated and provided medical assistance at the scene. When Officer Hodakowski questioned the two individuals, they shared that they had attended the basketball game and fled after hearing shots fired. However, Officer Hodakowski's situation assessment did not tally with this account. He also noticed suspicious body language from the subject standing further away, who had both hands in his jacket pockets. Officer Hodakowski advised that he would check them for weapons. While he conducted the pat-down of the subject standing closest to him, he noticed a dramatic change in the body language of the other subject. Through field experience, Officer Hodakowski immediately diverted his attention to the second subject upon completing pat-down of the first subject. He took control of the subject's right arm, prompting the subject to pull away while keeping his left hand inside his jacket pocket. Officer Hodakowski ordered the man to reveal his left hand, but he resisted and continued to pull away. Officer Hodakowski quickly reacted by taking the subject to the ground. The impact to the ground flung the weapon, a black semi-automatic handgun, from the subject's pocket. While Officer Hodakowski secured the weapon and kept the initial suspect on the ground, The other started retreating despite the officer ordering him to stop. As the subject headed southward, he called for backup, who arrived promptly, transporting the currently restrained suspect to the station. The other subject fled on foot. With the initial subject in custody, Officer Hodaloski began to set up a perimeter in pursuit of the fleeing suspect. Officers from the southern perimeter soon responded with a suspect matching the description of the missing suspect. Officer Hodaloski immediately drove to the location, found the suspect refusing to comply with officers despite being on his knees. Using the same quick thinking demonstrated in the first arrest, he tactically restrained the suspect, allowing officers to bring the defiant suspect into custody. The recent case is a testament to Officer Hodaloski's invaluable contributions as a positive role model to his peers and members of the public. Officer Hodaloski has been in police service for almost 23 years, having served 21 years with Oak Park and 2 years in the Detroit Police Department. He's also Oak Park's first and only canine officer and continues to safeguard community members with vigilance and quick thinking shown in this incident that occurred earlier this year. For your exceptional courage and resolve while safely apprehending 2 dangerous suspects to protect the greater community, the Police Officers Association of Michigan presents to you Officer Michael Hodaloski with the 2023 Police Officer of the Year Award.
Real quick, just want to say thanks to the director and my fellow co-workers for coming out. This support is truly wonderful. Today's day and age, a lot of times we're nervous about going hands-on. This is a pure testament. If you're rightfully allowed to do so, make sure you do, because it can save your life. That's it. Thanks.
Next we have, our reader will be District Judge Mike Brown from Monroe. Been a long time friend of the POAM, member of the POAM, and always here, always ready to help, and we appreciate you helping us out today. Come on up, sir.
It's an honor to be back here as a former POAM member to present. Every day, you put your lives on the line. And unlike this event, you rarely get the recognition for making our community safer and protecting us. And it's wonderful POAM is doing this. In the early morning of March the 31st, 2022, Officer Hovarter was working alone in uniform on routine patrol. He was dispatched to a call of a man having a seizure. When he knocked on the front door, there was no response. Officer Hovarter, concerned about the possibility of someone needing medical attention and being incapacitated, proceeded to enter the home through the unlocked door, announced himself as police department. A female voice indicated they were upstairs. Officer Hovarter went upstairs, saw a man and a woman. The man was standing, moaning and groaning. Officer Hovarter asked the man if he could sit down to avoid hurting himself. However, the man, without any warning, pushed his way past Officer Hovarter and became combative. As Officer Hovarter attempted to control the man's arms, the man responded by attacking Officer Hovarter, hitting him in the torso and stomach. Officer Hovarter requested backup from his dispatch. The man continued to assault Officer Hovarter with multiple strikes to his torso and stomach area. To stop the strikes, Officer Hovarter deployed his taser. When the taser stopped, the man returned to his feet and began swinging in an attempt to again punch Officer Hovarter. The man then ran downstairs. Concerned for the man, Officer Hovarter followed him downstairs. The man was standing in the kitchen, and Officer Hovarter was standing near the living room. Then the man again ran towards Officer Hovarter, swinging both arms and trying to hit him. Officer Hovarter then deployed his second taser cartridge, which did not appear to be effective. The man ran out of the house, and Officer Hovarter updated dispatch while he followed the man to make sure he did not go into the lake accessible from the backyard. Officer Hovarter tried to calm the man down and was waiting for more units to arrive when the man again came running towards Officer Hovarter, swinging his arm in an attempt to hit the officer. The man then ran to the rear of the house and picked up a large gas can, again coming at Officer Hovarter. Officer Hovarter deployed his baton to try to block the gas can, but he was unable to block the blow and was struck with the gas can on the side of his head. Then the man ran back to the sliding glass door where the man began to hit it, and the woman let him into the house. At that point, the man was not aggressive towards his wife, so Officer Hovarter did not feel the need to go into the house. Officer Hovarter remained outside waiting for additional units to arrive. Then the man opened the door and began running towards Officer Hovarter with a piece of wood approximately 4 feet long. Officer Hovarter drew his sidearm and gave verbal commands to stop and get back. The man retreated to the house for a short time, then again came back outside and began banging the piece of wood on the door and another chair while screaming incoherently. The man then picked up an axe and raised it above his head and ran towards Officer Hovarter. Officer Hovarter was positioned between the man and the edge of the lake. Officer Hovarter had nowhere to go. His verbal commands in the officer's presence were disregarded. A deadly threat to Officer Hovarter was imminent. Officer Hovarter discharged his service weapon at the man to stop the threat. The man fell to the ground in an incapacitated state. As units arrived on the scene, the axe was secured, the man was secured, and life-saving measures were conducted until paramedics arrived. The man was transported to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Officer Hovarter's selflessness in this high-stress situation allowed for a calm, collective response to end a potentially deadly threat to him and the surrounding community. Despite being in imminent danger, he maintained communications with dispatch, resulting in a swift and strategic response. For your courage and professionalism, the Police Officers Association of Michigan awards you the 2023 Police Officer of the Year Award.
Keep this short. Chief, I want to thank you for all the support you've given me, along with my parents, family, and all my friends along the way. I could not have done it without you. Thank you.
We honor today the work of Deputy Bill Warner of the Lenawee County Sheriff's Department for engaging in critical decision-making in September of 2022. His actions on that day may have started with pulling over a driver for a simple traffic violation, but led to not only the capture of 2 people with warrants, but also life-saving actions for one of the 2. On September the 8th of 2022, Deputy Warner made a traffic stop on an SUV in Medina Township for improper plates. The two men in the vehicle had felony warrants from multiple jurisdictions. Upon initiating a traffic stop, the vehicle's driver fled on foot. That occurred, and the passenger jumped into the driver's seat and drove away through a field, and a car chase ensued. Within minutes, Deputy Warner found the SUV flipped over in a ravine with smoke coming from the vehicle. The man was trapped in the vehicle and was crying out for help. After calling for help, Deputy Warner did not hesitate to take action. The car suddenly burst into fire, yet he raced towards the vehicle, jumped into the ravine, and worked tirelessly for several minutes to pull the man from the vehicle. Throughout the harrowing few minutes, the driver could not free his foot, but through constant maneuvering and adjusting, Deputy Warner finally freed him. Throughout this ordeal, he was supportive and encouraging, working hard to save the man's life while keeping his calm. He then put out his burning clothing in the ravine by dunking his legs. Eventually, Deputy Warner pulled the driver to the bank to wait for additional help as the fire raged in the background. The actions of Deputy Warner are extraordinary, as he put himself at risk to save the driver's life. Had he not taken action, the tragedy would have been far worse. Deputy Warner received the Life-Saving Award and the Medal of Honor from Sheriff Troy Beyerlein for his bravery during this event. He has served the community for more than 20 years. He's worked for the Sheriff's Office for 5 years, spending decades before that working with the City of Tecumseh Police Department. His action in this incident are those of a hero. He saved a man's life and put himself in danger at one of the most critical points of a situation where a vehicle burst into flames. Throughout the incident, he maintained a calm and encouraging demeanor, supporting the man as he tried to free him. It is actions like this that POAM recognizes as incredible, life-changing actions. For his quick-thinking actions and commitment to saving lives, Deputy Bill Warner is one of the 2023 Police Officers of the Year Award recipients.
I'd just like to say I'm humbled by all this attention that was given here. I'd like to thank the POAM for this award. I'd like to thank Sheriff Thivierge for his continued support. Our union president, Miranda Benner, and my wife.
Four officers of the Taylor Police Department deserve recognition for their efforts in protecting their fellow officers and an entire apartment complex of innocent bystanders from the actions of a single man. Corporals Christian Schnell, Joshua Fryckland, Joseph Thivierge, and Patrolman Vincent Monaco worked as a team to communicate effectively and carry out the necessary steps to protect and serve. No officer starts their day with a plan to discharge their weapon, and most take every step possible before doing so. Often, quick, decisive action is critical to protecting the community, and that's what was needed during April 2022. The officers responded to a violent domestic situation at a large complex of apartments in Taylor. The four officers arrived on the scene of a man barricaded in an apartment with two young children still within it. The domestic situation involved his wife and a friend arguing about traveling out of state. Upon arriving at the apartment complex, each member of the police team worked to identify the individuals involved and assess the safety of the entire apartment complex. The situation escalated when the man stepped outside the apartment and opened fire with an assault rifle on the officers. The officers returned fire until the threat was stopped. Their actions in these moments likely saved the lives of fellow officers and proactively helped protect the community as a whole. Each officer recognized the danger they faced that day, yet put themselves at risk to protect, serve, and resolve a difficult situation. POAM honors the 4 police officers in Taylor who took the courageous steps of protecting the community at their own risk. Corporal Schnell has 7 years of service with the Taylor Police Department and serves as a PSO for the department before that. He is a highly qualified, trusted member of the Downriver SWAT team and operates as a sniper, noted for being dependable, hardworking, and trustworthy. Corporal Schnell is a loving father and husband. Corporal Joshua Fryckland has served the Taylor Police Department reliably for 5.5 years. Before that, he spent 2.5 years serving the Highland Park Police Department. A trusted professional with an intent eye for detail, Corporal Fryckland is noted for being dependable, trustworthy, and truly hardworking police officer who cares deeply about his community's safety. He is a devoted husband and father as well. For those of you who know Patrolman Vincent Monaco, it's easy to see his dedication to the community. He brings with him 5 years of experience with the Taylor Police Department, along with 2 additional years of service with the Riverview Police Department. A vital and hardworking professional, he is also a member of the Downriver SWAT, a critical force in the region. Outside of work, he is also a caring husband and father. With over 19 years of service under his belt, Corporal Joseph Thivierge has served the community of Taylor for a long time through many difficult situations. He is a consistent, steady force in supporting his fellow officers. He has been a member of the executive board since 2009 and the president of the TPOLA since August of 2017. He is married and is a wonderful role model for his 4 daughters. The actions of each of these 4 police officers made a difference in many lives. Together, these 4 men worked together as a team and managed to safeguard the innocent lives of many people. For that hard work, POAM thanks and supports you and presents each of you with the 2023 Police Officer of the Year Award. Congratulations.
Very supportive. They're able to even watch it. We had drones in the air. They're live streaming on Axon from the station, and the drone was where we first picked up that he had a gun at his side when he came out, given the distance. I'd like to thank our families. They're very supportive of us too. I'd like to thank POAM. I think our legal counsel was there in under an hour to come help and get us through all the reports and paperwork and stuff like that. So, Gordana, thank you.
let Judge Brown get too far away. I inadvertently demoted him. He's a circuit judge now. Still district? Okay, take back all my apologies. Okay, I bless you, you're a circuit judge. It doesn't mean much coming from me, I guess. But I wanted to, you hear a lot of people talking about individuals. We saw some individual things that occurred today. We heard the word team a lot, and even when individuals were involved, we heard the team that surrounded them when this was over with. And I think that's an indication of what this kind of job is. We really need to stick together. And so I want to tell you a little bit about my team, our team that we have up here, because really I'm surrounded by a lot of very talented people, very hardworking people, and they make it a lot easier for me once in a while. Your troubles from time to time. But this is our Vice President, John Pignataro, Calhoun County. John Brady from Grand Blanc, Bridgewater, somewhere there. Wayne Beerbauer, Barney, Steve Sellers from East Point. And back here, Alan Cox from Wayne County. His own cheering squad back there, that's okay. That's okay. Next to him, Dave LaMontagne with the Dan Cody's my prodigy. He's giving me off probation another 5 years, I think. And Tommy Shear from Clinton Township. Jerry Webster, Jerry Williamson, Barry Valentine, Washington County Deputy, Sean Stewart from Ann Arbor, Vincent from, Livonia, yeah, he's from Livonia. So, these are the guys that make it, and then I guess I have to, she should come on up here to Funky. You guys gotta know that none of us can do this forever, although they think I've been here forever. Tom Funky's retiring June the 30th. He had 26 years with us, 27 years. He's still a district judge. He's got 27 years. Tom's been a loyal POAM guy from day one. When he was a Livonia full-time officer, he was the president there. He served in one capacity or another his entire career and been a very loyal POAM person and a hard-working guy doing 40, 45, 50 groups from time to time. Well, tell me how many it is. Make you liar. A lot of groups. And just one of those guys that's always there, that just trudges along. And we're really happy for him. Most of the time we have to drag people out of here, but you're going to get to walk out on your own, and it's pretty great to have you here and have you with us and be part of the family forever, I guess. But thank you. Around the office we call him Mr. French because he's always taking care of everybody. Remember Mr. French? Yeah, I got guys over there. In my circle. Kevin Loftus is the treasurer for the POAM. Many of you, if you run into him, or I'll mention Al here in a minute, I'll hear he's like the baby-faced killer at the 312 table. If you end up at arbitration when he's there, it's going to be brutal, bloody, and we're going to do okay. So he likes to fight, and it's all good. And next to him, we have our legislative director, Ken Grabowski. Those are the guys, those are the road warriors that we deal with all the time. And then none of us would be nearly as good at what we do if we didn't have great people behind us. Back over here, I've got our office staff, and let's see here. I can't see everybody. I got Lynn Singer, Heather Ignite, Val Reed, who's our senior all guy, and Kevin's the sidekick. Kendall Kelly, is it Kelly Kendall? Kendall Kelly, Chris Square, Brittany Henry. These are all the people that when you call the office, these are the people that you deal with, and they're the ones that we call on short notice to say, please fix this, and they manage to get it all done. So thank you guys for all of that. Where's over there. Donna Dansky, she's our chief typist, and bottle washer, whatever, she does it all. Everything that we did today, these people played a part in it. Dawn was doing the breakfast for us and the seminars. We all were tasked with new duties this year, and it drove me crazy. I lost all my hair color through this. I was a brunette once, like 60 years ago. But just a great staff that we have here that helps us out. We've got several business agents that are here today as well. These are also guys that are servicing groups. Many of you would know them from being your servicing person. Al Breeze, I just mentioned, is also servicing a number of groups. Jim Cross is here. Jim Cross is out there. Mike Gerald, center line. He can't be here today because he was involved in an accident. I didn't know he had this many ribs, but he broke 5 of them and his sternum. And so I'm going to tell you, I had less ribs and the sternum broken. That is one of the worst injuries. You can't sit up, you can't lay down, and he's in the UP. So we wish him well. When he called me, I did. I think I can make it. He'd be 6 hours from home. We don't want him down here when he starts really feeling bad. He runs the UP for us, basically. He's the guy out there, been doing it for many years. Tim Lewis from Kent County, where's Tim at? Tim's back here, helps us out all the time. Service for the police. Here at Ronald's, I see in the back, former Ann Arbor Police. We've got a new guy here, John Waldo, who's going to be helping out Emil Kesserly probably more than he thought, with Emil being on the mend right now for a while. But he's also a Marquette City guy. Our UP business is evolving into a much bigger thing than we expected it to be. And we've got some good guys up there. I refuse to go up there anymore because when they flew me up in this 2-engine plane, I think the lake looked like it was the backside of the moon. It's one of the darkest things I've ever seen. I knew we were going to die. Then I started driving up, and it takes 12 hours to get to Marquette. I'm like, you know what? I'm too old for this. So we got John Waldo and Emil Kesserly. Doug Worley, Saginaw City, where you at, Yogi? Great guys. Listen, the reason these guys are also great is because most of the time when they were on the job, they were either the bad boys or they were helping bad boys. And so, my new white boss was glad to see me leave, so I'm sure it's true with the rest of them. Now, I wanted to mention that, did I forget anybody on the team? I didn't forget you, Ed. I personally wouldn't right over. Yeah. Eddie Jocks sets up. He's our new member guy, a member services person. Does a great job. All of you that have been recruited in the last 10 years, he sets up all the vendors out here, which I know he wants me to mention, but they're out there. So take care of the vendors. We've got some new people and some of them in here. I imagine they are. Thank you there for being here. And I know I've got you in here someplace, but you know what? Everybody leaves their paper where mine was. Here we go. 44 North, are you in here? 44 North is insurance, healthcare, I believe. AT&T's here. Blue Cross Blue Shield is here. Everybody depends on them. Trojan and Associates selling electric lights and believe that's what they got out there. Mansfield Insurance, are you in here? Firing Line, you guys, we always rely on Firing Line and Westland to take care of our weapons. Frontline Strong, if you haven't visited the Frontline Strong table, that's that wellness center and mental health situation that we're putting together. We got new people here, personalized by Tracy. They had some neat things out there. Please go check with these people because they come here to show you their things, and it's worth going out and taking a look at it. American Income Life, there you are, thank you. MERS is here. Olivet College, and then Retirement Plan Advisors. Matt was here earlier. He's wandering around, but Matt was the one that did the seminar yesterday on Social Security, and I hope that if you attended that, you took a lot out of that. Now, all these guys at Leadership Academy? Okay. You know what? Let me start hiring people to do this. Yeah, all right. Where's Joe Thivierge? Thivierge at? Okay. This Leadership Academy, I want you all to know about this. These are guys that came on to us and got Amy Brooks here from Jackson County. Got Luke Silver, MSU, please. I think that's only Gary Lowell's not here, is it? Working. I said it. Okay, these are Leadership Academy. What we're trying to do here is as our group gets larger, we have 548 groups now. And that's a lot of things, a lot of people to service. But we're spreading them around, and what we're trying to do is look for people, and you can be interested in this. If you are, please let us know. These are people that are coming to our board meetings, they're treated like board members, and what they're doing is learning the things that we do. They get all the same paperwork that we do and that all board members get. And these are people that we're trying to get interested in this business. And some of these guys came from there, a number of them. So that's Amy and Luke and Joe back there. That's what they're going to be doing. So really good stuff there. Now I have to, you heard enough about Gordana today. Is she here?
Right here.
Oh, sitting all by herself, as it should be. That's good. Gordana Misowski is one of our assistant general counsels. I think you heard her name mentioned a few times tonight. We have somebody on call 24 hours a day, 365 days, and for some reason or when she's on call, a lot of bad things happen. So then we have our general counsel, Frank Guido. Have anybody else here? Tomasi here? Yes. Chris Tomasi, he's a great guy, great addition to our staff. He hasn't learned how to say, I'm busy yet. We just keep on bugging him, so, but a great guy. So we're very fortunate. Doug Nucher is probably not here, right? Doug is not here. Doug handles all of our criminal cases, and believe me, everybody's getting charged with crimes now. You guys can't just get fired anymore. You get indicted. So Doug's busy. Now we have that. What else did I forget? I said nothing. Yeah. I knew you wanted. So we have, it's starting about 3 o'clock. The hospitality room will be open, which is in the Ottawa room, which is downstairs, where it's usually at. You're welcome to come down there. Okay, got one more right here. That should have taken better notes. We're talking about loyalty. I got to tell you about this guy. Yogi, come on up here. Doug Worley. I represented the Saginaw City Cops for about 20 years. When I took it over in 1997, I had 120 grievances waiting for me when I walked through the door. Some of you chiefs and sheriffs have probably heard that we give away a couple of awards. One of them is for the Administrator of the Year, and the other one is the award you don't want to win. It's a bad name. Children present. You don't want this award. And the first name on that award was the James B. Colvin Jr. Award. And that's because he was the chief of Saginaw when I took it over. And we worked and worked and worked until we sent him all the way to Philadelphia. And Yogi was part of the problem. But now he's representing the Saginaw City Coppers. Just before he came in, this guy here, Phil Graves, Phil, come on up wherever you are, buddy. We can kind of double dip this one. Phil was the local president when I was still representing the group. We have this award that we give out annually, and it's called the Loyalty Award. And these are the guys that answer the call, that when the pager goes off, they don't ignore it. And when Phil took over, the place was rough up there. And he was brand new to the business. And I got to tell you, he brought a lot of common sense to the table. He worked out a lot of things with the chief. And you can go into more details on what that was, some of those things, Jim and everything.
Yeah, so when Phil took over, the place was in shambles after I left. It was kind of my fault. I had a bad president to succeed me. But Phil stepped in, he repaired the management, labor relations. He was instrumental in obtaining a new gym for the department, drinking fountain system. He has lines of communication with info vehicles, body armor, external carriers. There was let's say, an attempted coup leading. Phil was instrumental in keeping the lid on the place. He did a phenomenal job working together with everybody else on the board and myself to keep the guys where we needed to be for the best representation they could have. So I was extremely proud to nominate Phil, and he deserves this award.
not the best at public speaking, so I'll be quick, but like everybody keeps saying, there was a lot of teamwork. I have a board that works really well with me. I work well with them. We're all on the same page. We're trying to, get our department running the best it will, the best it can. A lot of bumps in the road. Thankfully, we all just work together to overcome our obstacles, and I think we have a bright future ahead of us. So, thank you.
In 2001, that department had 170 sworn officers. In 2020, it had 50. And that's not because crime went down by 100% in the city of Saginaw. These guys that work there work hard, and it's a tough town. But I'll tell you, some of them, they try to find a job in Midland. You see that they'll go off to Midland to the pearly gates, and they want to come back to Saginaw because they like that type of job. And so we got really good guys there, good leadership now. And like prior to Phil was when we had a little bump in the road, but before that we had Doug Worley, who was a great president up there. So, but it's a great place to work, and I love my Saginaw guys because they just never give up. So it's all good. So we were back to the hospitality room. Well, that would be enough. Is McGran here?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Denny. Denny McGran is our DC lobbyist. When I was there 2 weeks ago, he's got the whole agenda put together, got what we're going to talking points and stuff like that. We met with Peter Stabenow, Gildy. Debbie Dingle, unfortunately, was positive with COVID. That was tough. We had John James, new congressman there, and Lisa McLean. We met all of them that day, and I just want you guys to know, if you follow us on POAM.net, everybody in here should have already downloaded the POAM app. Watch what we do out there, guys. With Denny, was Matt Soash here? No. Okay, Matt's our legislative guy in Lansing. We have two really hardworking, highly regarded people there. And I'm going to tell you, when they're at the table, and we're trying to get 312 for corrections, which is important to so many of you. We're trying to get Medicare at age 50 for people that are eligible to retire. That's pretty special for those of you that don't have retirement health care. We're really close on some of these things. And I want you to know that when we're at the table, POAM is the only one at that table. There's nobody else there. Occasionally a firefighter. They're not exactly begging on your behalf either. They're looking for food allowances and stuff. But we're at the table, things are changing, and we just got the pension tax waive for retirees. That will start the first part of next year. That's a 4.6% increase for those guys that are already on pensions. But Dennis and Matt are the two highly regarded guys that get us in place and make us look like we know what we're talking about. And we appreciate it, Denny. Thank you very much. Anything else you want to say about that? Very good. I apologize for all that, folks, but if you can see what this looks like right here, you can imagine. Hospitality room opens at 3. Downstairs in the Ottawa room. Those of you that want to get pictures, go over to the Pro room, take your time. There's a nice backdrop in there, and you can use all the photos you want. We've got our people will be there as well. I appreciate you all being here, appreciate your patience and the respect that you all show for these people that we represent. And thank you to the families that are here as well. So, if I get a motion to adjourn, Mr. Secretary, can somebody make a motion? Funky did. Funky made a Funky?
Funky is the last one.
Funky's the last motion. Okay. Motion to adjourn. So moved. Thank you, guys. We're back in this room for the cocktail burning and snow party. Let's go.